Hello, welcome to the Get Skinny Goddess program. I'm going to share an overview of all of the principles so you can get started right now. Um, and then in subsequent videos, I'll go in details of every single principle so you have a more in-depth idea. But this, I just want to give you an overview of everything so you can get started right now. I know how it feels for me if I'm not feeling right in my body. Nothing is great. I can't do my very best work in my job. I can't be the very best wife. I'm also mother to two children. And if I'm not feeling right in my own body, like physically and mentally, I just can't be there as I would like to for everyone else. So this is not about being selfish. This is actually about being able to give more to the people in your life that's very important to you or the things you care about, like your job or projects. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get skinny now, whatever skinny means for you. I don't care. And I will say I'm very focused on the actual weight loss, and then health will follow. I do find that in the past when I tried to really focus just on health, I might actually gain weight and then I feel miserable and really unhappy and therefore less healthy. And when I focus on these principles that I'm about to share with you, which are very healthy, by the way. But I notice the weight loss comes and then I feel so much better in every area of my life. And then just a trigger warning, if you are suffering from an eating disorder, you may not be ready for this. However, this also could be the thing to get you out of your eating disorder, but make sure you're working with a professional. But you'll see that this is a very customized plan where you actually are the designer and creator, but these are just some guiding principles to help you frame the plan for you. So the first one is it must be sustainable. Don't do anything to lose weight that you cannot do every single day. The reason why is because holding your breath to lose weight will only bring the weight back on later again, and it's really embarrassing. It's super, super embarrassing. And it's also less healthy for your body. So it's better to lose weight. I know this is called get skinny now, and you will, I promise. But keep that in mind of we're not holding our breath here. We are getting skinny every single day, and it is a consistent lifestyle and program. I do have one caveat. If you have gut issues, unfortunately right now I'm suffering with SIBO. Something happened to me that was really ridiculous, and I'm actually having to do something to heal my gut, which is working quite well, and it's very interesting. I will share a little bit about that if you suffer from gut issues in a separate video. That might be a temporary thing you might need to do to fix your microbiome. However, in your day-to-day, this is something that you can stick with, and it should be extremely enjoyable. Every single day with eating and with everything should be very enjoyable. There is no suffering on this plan, and you're going to be eating foods that you like, which is why I can't give you we'll get into it, but I'm not going to be telling you you're going to eat this at 6 p.m. and this at 4 p.m. I'm not doing a plan like that. Okay. So the second principle is about what are you actually going to eat? There's so much diet confusion out there, and it's usually because people are trying to get you to buy their products. So one thing to keep in mind, what I would recommend is focus on whole foods. It is really difficult to overeat whole foods. There are chemicals, we all probably know this already, in chips and cookies and other processed foods. There are actual chemicals in there to make your brain want to eat more and not feel full. It doesn't trigger your natural satiety signals. So whole foods are a really good place to start. So if it has one ingredient, go for it. And then you can decide. Some people might want to be vegetarian. Some people might want to be vegan. I'm none of those. I actually eat everything. But I really focus on whole foods, meaning it's going to be one ingredient. And just as an example, if you find you're one of those people who really loves bread, I actually love bread, you can make your own bread. Or you can skip it entirely because technically it's not really a whole food. That is definitely a processed food, but you'll see it's 80-20. But if there's something that you really want that maybe isn't a whole food, that 20%, maybe try to make it yourself or do the healthier version of that to make it less processed. Because again, things like, I don't want to name certain brands, but chips and very popular chips and cookies and sodas, things like that. You can't win. You cannot win against those because the brain chemicals are stacked against you. So really focus on the whole foods. I will do a video on what I eat in a day. It does change often. I get on little jags about, for a month, I'll be really into something and then I'll change to something else, but it's always within these principles. Now, big picture too related to this, to what you eat. Anything works as long as you're in a calorie deficit. So we're going to tell you how to get that. I don't track calories because I just can't be bothered. I'm too busy. It's too stressful and it bums me out. So, but keep that in mind. You do need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And whole foods, and for some people fasting, I tend to intermittent fast because I love it and I feel great. Maybe not for everyone. But the easiest way for you to end up eating a little bit less is going to be the best diet for you. So it is important though, and it's hard to overeat your calories on whole foods. Again, there's some very calorie rich foods like peanut butter right now. You know, I'm having peanut butter or sun butter pretty much every night. But it is very calorie dense. However, you know, I'm just continuing to get leaner. So it's not a problem for me, but you have to find out what those whole food treats are for you. A lot of people really enjoy dark chocolate. Again, that has more than one ingredient. However, if you look at those ingredients, they're actually pretty darn good for you. And I would say dark chocolate is a very healthy dessert if you love chocolate. So really focus on whole foods. The next one is hunger and fullness need to be your guide, except for in the morning if you're a fan of intermittent fasting. So a lot of people get really good results with intermittent fasting. I'm one of them. And I actually don't like to eat breakfast because I do not have time. I'm getting kids ready for school in the morning. I'm getting ready for work in the morning. I'm doing my makeup, my hair. I do not want to be bothered to stop and have to make and eat and then clean up a breakfast. I just don't have time for that. So if that sounds appealing to you, the morning could be the easiest time for you to skip a meal. So really think about hunger and fullness. And what I love about that is when I go through my day, I actually really feel hungry around 11 o'clock or lunchtime. Sometimes it's later. Excuse me. And I can really feel, this is real hunger. Whereas prior, I never really let myself get hungry because I don't know if I was afraid of being hungry or whatever was going on there. But it does actually feel nice to be hungry. And then I will say for me, my stomach gets really flat. Like when I don't eat in the morning, that's my favorite time to go to the gym. And if you wanted to wear a crop top, you know, go for it. But my stomach is really, really nice and flat in the morning. And so I just enjoy that time before eating. And I notice that my appetite is not too bad. And I do I'll get into that. I do a lot of drinks in the morning, which also keeps me full. So the next principle is around calories and calorie counting. As I mentioned, you do need to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. However, we're not going to go crazy there. You may want to track calories in the beginning just to see what's happening. You might be a little bit shocked at how much you actually are eating. I was pretty shocked when I tracked. I was like, wow, I tend to eat actually quite a bit. I've always had a nice big appetite and I do eat many, many calories. But I wasn't aware I was eating that many. And so it's just good to be aware. So you could track one time, one day if you wanted to just see where you are. However, tracking doesn't seem to work for me. Now, if you are a person who loves to track, knock yourself out. Track. And some people love the math and they love it. It's like a budget. If that works for you, you can absolutely do that. So just keep in mind, calories do matter. It all matters. A lot of people, calories in, calories out. But your body, you have hormones that react to certain calories in different ways. And again, Whole Foods there is going to be your secret. But they do matter. And then you decide if you want to track. I personally do not. And I don't recommend tracking unless you just love it. Okay, the next one is I do not recommend a cheat day. Because first of all, you should be incorporating, every day should be a lovely day. There is no holding your breath. There is none of that. There is no like, this is on the plan, this is not on the plan, because again, you have that 80-20 flexibility. And then one day, maybe it's 70-30 because you have a party. And then maybe the next day it's 90-10, or maybe one day it's 100% clean because you're just at home and it feels so good. I find myself having more clean foods now because I genuinely really like them. And then you start to lose the taste for the fake processed foods. You really do, but you have to give yourself a chance to get to that place. But I do not recommend a cheat day because that gives you this black and white mentality of like on the plan, off the plan. You're always on the plan and it's flexible. So think about it. If you're a willow tree, right? A lot of people think that the oak tree is like the strongest tree, but actually in a storm, it will break because it's so unflexible, right? It's so solid, but a big wind comes and it will just break. Whereas a willow tree will always last through the storm because it can just sway with whatever comes its way. So if you have a big party coming up, not to fear. It's part of your plan. Like whatever you're going to have at the party is part of your plan. And you know, maybe there's days, yeah, like I said, where you just really want to be 100% clean because you just love how you feel. And I noticed a huge difference in my skin. My skin is awesome. My skin is better than it's ever been. And I'm much, much older now, which is a blessing. Every day is a blessing. But really think about, you don't need a cheat day. Because a lot of times people will tend to really overeat junk food and it really messes with your digestive system and your gut microbiome, and it does really set you back. So this plan, if you're feeling the need for a cheat day, you might need to either eat a few more calories or add certain things in your diet. Like I do really feel like I need to have a peanut butter dessert every night. And it's a lot of peanut butter and it's a lot of calories, but it works for me. And I don't feel, when I have that, I'm done. Like I'm done eating. I don't need anything else. I'm not thinking about food. And then actually I've incorporated, this is new, I have the most delicious tea after dinner. And I know tea sounds really boring. It's not. I put good stuff in it. I put Nut Pods creamer and it just tastes like a milkshake, honestly. It's like a warm milkshake and it's got like barely any calories in it, but it's so luxurious and delicious. And I look forward to that. And it's tea. And then I take a bath and just really enjoy my evening. So there is no need for a cheat day. If you're feeling the need for a cheat day, then you need to make some adjustments in your plan. Okay, the next principle is to implement changes very slowly, 1 week at a time. Now, again, I know that this is called Get Skinny Now because you will. You absolutely will. And you kind of move slow to then move fast. That was a saying I used to work at Facebook. We had that everywhere of sometimes you have to go a little slower in the beginning to then be able to run really quickly. So this is going to help your body ease into the changes that you're implementing. So the first week is going to be just breakfast. And again, I'll go into detail about this, but you're going to have just breakfast. You're focusing on fixing your breakfast or the lack thereof if you're deciding to do intermittent fasting. So I actually do tend to, along with Whole Foods, Ori Hofmeckler came up with the Warrior Diet, and I think it is genius. I actually love it. It's not really completely fasting. You have lower calories in the day. So for breakfast, you can have a coffee with cream, and then let's say you're really hungry throughout the day, you can have some fresh berries. You can have some other raw fruits that you like. You could even have some raw vegetables if you would like. But basically, you're not eating a lot during the day, and then for your dinner meal you're having a really nice big meal, and a dessert if you so choose. I love to have dessert every night, so I do. So to ease into this program, and again, you get to pick, you might want to clean fast. Is, some crazy people like to do completely clean fasting with just water, and if that's you, knock yourself out. I personally can't do that. It's too boring for me. It's painful. I don't do anything painful. If it's painful or uncomfortable, it's not going to be for me. But week 1, you're going to start with just fixing your breakfast. So maybe you're going to change to just fresh berries. Maybe you're just going to skip breakfast altogether and have just a coffee, maybe with heavy cream to tide you over, or some tea. I also incorporate, it's actually the afternoon right now, but this is a green drink. I actually have greens in here, with some electrolytes, and it's absolutely delicious. It's homemade. I'll show you how to make all these things. But I drink a lot of drinks. I tend to do more drinks than food, but sometimes I'll have berries. And if you're really hungry, you can have a Greek yogurt, per se, but something very light throughout the day. And again, that's going to keep your stomach really flat the entire day. It's so nice to have a really tight, flat stomach during the day and not have to worry about like, oh gosh. And you don't have time. No one has time to sit down and have lunch unless you're going out with friends or coworkers. In that case, you do whatever makes sense for that day. Okay, so week 1 is just going to be working on cleaning up your breakfast. Week 2 is going to be then adding on to your lunch, making that better or smaller or whatever makes sense for you. And then week 3 is going to be on improving your dinner, maybe really focusing on those whole foods. That would be totally incorporating some of the principles from the Warrior Diet, because I really think that's a great plan that he has created. So that principle is just implement changes slowly, 1 week at a time in the very beginning. There should be no last meal. So a lot of people, the night before they speak to a dietitian or a health coach, they'll have the last supper eating where they just eat everything. And then they're like, okay, we're going to go into this really strict diet plan. And again, that's that black and white thinking that doesn't work. It really doesn't work for most people. So implementing slower changes is going to be just a bit less scary. And then again, this is your plan. If you just want to focus a few days on breakfast and then move on day 4 to lunch, you can move a little faster, but I would recommend 1 week blocks at a time to really focus. And then it's not overwhelming. You don't have to go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of stuff. Like, we're not doing anything dramatic. Okay. The next principle is find exercise that you love. So exercise should not be a chore. It should be something you enjoy doing. This last weekend I was line dancing and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. And I got such a workout because I was line dancing for over an hour and it didn't feel like a workout at all, but my watch told me that it was. So find things that you really enjoy doing and move your body. If you like gardening, that is an amazing workout. Any physical labor. Cleaning your house is really, really good exercise. I personally love yoga. I love stretching. And I also really enjoy walking. I go walking every single day for at least 30 minutes. I typically will take a work call on a walk. And it's 2 birds, 1 stone. And it's always, I'm lucky I live in California. It's beautiful weather, but even in the winter, I will just throw on, if it's raining, I make sure I get out and go walking and just enjoy the beautiful romantic rain. And then I personally love weightlifting. I find it super fun. I do like to go to a gym. I do like to lift weights. I see a lot of people there that I know, so it's a little bit social, and I find it very enjoyable. And there's also classes that I sometimes will attend. But exercise needs to be something fun that you enjoy, not punishing. And you do need to keep in mind the calories. So if you do really hard exercise that you're not enjoying, maybe you killed yourself and you burned like 200 calories, which is realistic. And then you're so starving that you eat an extra like 240 calories of something. So you just actually set yourself back 40 calories. So unless, just keep that in mind. Like exercise, it shouldn't be thought of as like, ooh, I'm going to exercise so hard and then I get to eat more, because it's way easier to eat more calories than you actually burned during the exercise. So I don't really think of exercise as like a calorie burning type of thing. It's more of I'm moving my body because it feels good to move, and I really like to be flexible. I personally am working on the splits. I used to have them when I was younger, and it's kind of fun to work towards a goal. So find something fun and inspiring for you so that exercise can be fun. The next principle is sleep a lot and sleep in. So if possible, there's science based on this. There's two things. Do not set an alarm. If possible, don't set an alarm. And then the other thing also is get sunlight exposure. The earlier, if you can just go outside, what I tend to do is I have a beautiful balcony out here, and the sun comes up over on this, behind this mountain. And every morning I'll come out and I just get a few minutes of sun exposure. I'm not quite into meditation. I'll get there at some point, but it's not me for now. I'm like a little too like, okay, what are we doing here? But hopefully I will advance into meditation sometime. But I do at least appreciate the sun coming up. I get some good sunlight exposure in my eyes. It's really good for weight loss is sunlight exposure. It helps you feel fuller faster, actually. So the circadian rhythm of everything is very, very important. So if you can, don't set an alarm. Wake up naturally. I actually have children who come in and wake me up, but it's lovely. It's so great. They come in and snuggle. I'm going to be so sad the day they don't come in anymore. But I can just kind of naturally wake up, snuggle with them, and get yourself beautiful bedding. Have a beautiful bed and silk pillowcases, and just make it heavenly so you can't wait to get into bed and enjoy yourself. If you struggle with sleep, again, I don't want to go too far into each of these principles because I eventually will do a video on each. Get yourself magnesium and melatonin. I actually put magnesium in my bath. I do bath salts with magnesium. I put magnesium in my drink. I usually put it in here. I'm not a huge fan of pills or capsules because those actually don't absorb so well. But definitely get yourself some magnesium and melatonin. And there's a few other little secrets I have around sleep, which we'll go into, but sleep is really where the weight loss happens. So the earlier you can go to bed and the longer you can sleep, essentially the more you're not eating, you're restoring and repairing, and you're actually losing weight. Okay, the next one is this is not for everyone, but this is about supplements, and I am personally a fan of diet pills because of the placebo effect. The placebo effect really works. So again, that's thinking, if you think something's going to do something, it actually will do something for you. And so I would pick, I can recommend some actually more natural diet pills, and they don't have to be diet pills. It can be powders or supplement, whatever works for you. But I do recommend them because they do work if you think they're going to work. So you can tell yourself, oh gosh, when I take this, it's going to help me burn more fat. And then I'll take it, and then I'll be motivated to like go work out longer or whatever. So I definitely am a fan of taking some sort of a diet pill, but be careful. I do think tablets, if you have to take a pill, tablets are better than capsules. All right. So the next one is similar to the last one. Take really good supplements. So caffeine is a good one. You don't have to have that as a supplement. You can just have coffee. Really good for you. Makes you happy. Helps speed up weight loss. If you have a sensitivity to caffeine, obviously don't do that, but you should listen to your body. I love caffeine. Caffeine works wonders for me, so I have no issues with caffeine. Big fan. As I mentioned before, magnesium, biotin is a good one, melatonin for nighttime. So I will go into detail on which supplements I think are useful for weight loss, period. All right, the next principle is that you must be able to eat out on your plan. We don't want to live in this world where we can't go out to dinner, we can't travel, we can't go to friends' houses, we can't host parties because you're eating a cabbage soup diet or you can't have any fat or anything like that. So whatever you do with this plan, make sure you incorporate eating out. And again, keep the 80-20 in mind. Maybe that 20% is going to be your dinner on Saturday night with your family or your birthday celebration or whatever. So must be able to eat out on your plan, and you must be able to fit in some of those life things, like maybe you really want some cake on your birthday, or maybe you do want to celebrate. You want to have a glass of champagne at someone's wedding. So incorporate all of that. That should be part of your plan. There's no like stressful, anxious thing of, oh my gosh, I have this event on Saturday. I have to starve myself for these days. No, it's part of your plan. You will not gain weight from adding in that 20% if it's part of your plan and you've been thoughtful and strategic and you're not stressed out about it. Stress and your gut, all the things are combined, your mind and your body. So it's really important, your mindset. And what I like to do sometimes before I'm eating or while I'm eating is I'm just so grateful. I'm like, oh my gosh, this food is so delicious and it's nourishing my body and my soul. And I just burn through food so quickly. I'm so lucky. You know, I just do all these affirmations while I'm eating because it really does make a difference how your body processes what you're eating. Okay, so this next one is a little bit specific if you have a healthy gut. If you do not have a healthy gut, like unfortunately right now I'm struggling with SIBO, but if you have a healthy gut, really pay attention to fiber. Add some fiber. Now, if you're eating whole foods, you're going to get great fiber. It's in all the fruits, all the vegetables. So just keep that in mind. Fiber really does help with the body. And it just really does fill you up, and fullness is going to just help you be in a good mind space. So that's if you have a healthy gut. If you don't have a healthy gut, fiber actually might be a problem for you. So I promise I will at some point do a gut issue because I'm seeing specialists and I'm learning so much about the gut, and I can provide just a few ideas for you to maybe research on your own. The next one is really pay attention to your poops. Awesome topic, I know. The elimination is really, really important. Ideally, you would have one large bowel movement per day, and it should be shaped like a banana. Not everyone gets there, but that is really the goal, to make sure you're eliminating food in a proper way. The next one is just find your rhythm. So our bodies, I mentioned a little bit of this before, our bodies really like a circadian rhythm, right? We like the morning, and then we have the day, and we should be doing things during the day. And then you have the evening where you're winding down. So find your kind of rhythm for the day and keep the balance happening. And again, we want to be like the willow tree and have some flexibility. I do prefer to eat dinner every night at the same time, but it's not working so great for me because my son has football and now my daughter has soccer and we're doing school and tutoring and friends and all these things. So my 5 o'clock dinner is not always happening as it was when they were much younger. So you got to be a little bit more flexible, but for me personally, I find that when I eat at 5 o'clock, I can sleep better. I try to go to bed around 9 or 10 with my husband. We just relax. And if I eat too close to bedtime, I don't get as good of sleep, and I don't feel as quite as restored. And I do like to have a really nice big dinner and dessert, so I need that time. I like to have a little bit earlier. So what I do now, just as an example, I'm actually going to eat before I have to take my daughter to soccer. So I might eat my actual dinner a tiny bit earlier so I can pick her up and take her there. And then I will make dinner for my children later, and I will enjoy it with them. And I might just have some tea, or I might just have my dessert if I hadn't had that earlier. So anyway, you got to be flexible like the willow, but find kind of your rhythm and what works for you. Okay, next one is food order matters. So I'm just going to assume that you're kind of further along, and let's say you're eating very light throughout the day. You're not eating much. Maybe you're having drinks like coffees and teas and green drinks, which I'll go into detail, but all these, they actually do fill you up and they have like no calories. And then you're going to have your big dinner, and maybe you're going to have a dessert. One second. And of course, incorporate water. I feel like we all know this. Water should be a principle. Drink water. Now, when you're eating, food order really affects your blood sugar. There's so much science on this. So what you want to do is you want to eat vegetables first. Then you would have protein, and then you would have whatever else is happening for you in that particular meal. Think of your digestion. It's kind of like a sink. So there's just a little narrow place where it all goes in. And so when it goes down, the vegetables will be digested first. Then the proteins will be digested next. That's going to lower the glycemic kind of index of everything. And then whatever else comes in next. And it really makes a huge difference. And you're going to get fuller faster if you're filling up on your vegetables and protein first. Okay. We are towards the end. I have 2 more for you. Well, I have a couple more. So don't drink your calories. And that's where water comes in. So drink that water. Water is really good for you. I would also be very careful about blending your calories. I am a fan of smoothies. I love green smoothies, but I do notice they don't quite always fill me up as much as if I have solid food. So sometimes I actually have my smoothie more as a dessert, like an ice cream type of dessert, but it's just blended. So anyway, something to keep in mind of the smoothies. Some people might not feel this way. So smoothies are great for you and they fill you up and you feel wonderful. Awesome. But again, it's processed. So by blending up all your spinach, it's going to go from a huge plate of spinach to a tiny, tiny amount of spinach. So that includes cooking too, but cooking is fine. I do cook my vegetables because sometimes it's hard to digest raw vegetables. But just be thoughtful about the blender because you can eat easily. You could probably blend up 4 bananas and knock it back. A bunch of bananas and dates and knock that stuff back. But if you were to actually eat 4 bananas and 4 dates, you probably would get full or sick of the bananas before you finished the whole entire thing. So that's why I would just say be really, really careful about smoothies and also drinking your calories. I don't drink any calories except for there is cream in my coffee and it's just delicious. I tend to use nut pods, which I can link somewhere for you. Those are very low calorie, very delicious. And sometimes I put a little bit of heavy cream in my coffee just to help fill me up. But really I wouldn't recommend drinking your calories or blending your calories. Okay. So 2 more. Be okay with where you are today. So this is probably the hardest one, but you need to start living your elegant life today. Do you have nice underwear? Do you have nice bras? If you're a man, I don't know what you care about. Like, do you have nice golf clubs? Or, attire, whatever you're wearing every single day, have nice things, have nice perfume that you smell and it makes you really happy. You need to just be okay with where you are today. And then you need to just get on this plan that, again, is so flexible, and you really know you're making progress. Every single day you want to know, like, I made progress towards my goal. And that mindset of just being exactly where I need to be, exactly where I am today, and I'm going to just progress. The journey is about progress and getting better. That is really going to help you get to your dream body quickly. And then the last one is my favorite. This is manifest your dream body. So act and eat and live as if you have your dream body today. What would you wear? For me, I wear bikinis today. Am I perfect? No, but I pretend I am. And when I wear my bikini out at my pool or wherever I am, I was in France recently and everyone's in a bikini, even if you're 80. And guess what? They look great. They look awesome. They are wrinkled and suntanned and smoking, and they're just living their best life, strutting around like they are the SHIT. And that makes them so. So pretend you have your dream body now. How would you dress? How would you act? How would you eat? How would you exercise? How would you feel? You've got it today. I deeply believe in manifestation, and it works. I manifested this house. I manifested my children, like everything. It really, really does work. And you can also manifest your dream body and put yourself in that mindset. I hope you've enjoyed this. So I will go through each principle in detail in other subsequent videos. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Take care.